Hello, can you hear me?
Guru.
Okay. Okay, so let me give you the overview of what we discussed yesterday, and from there we'll continue with today's session. So yesterday we started off with the conversion project. Okay, and I told you what is a conversion. Conversion means when you are upgrading your existing system. Okay, upgrading your existing system. You are not scrapping your current system, you are upgrading it. So whatever data, whatever custom codes, whatever functionalities that you are using in your current system, they are already available and you are implementing or you are upgrading your system to bring on the new functionalities. Okay, and I told you in the conversion process, there are 5 different phases. First is the preparation phase. What is preparation? Whatever activities you carry out in your existing ECC system to make it ready for conversion comes under the preparation phase. So the activities like you execute these tools, maintenance planner, pre-check reports, custom code analyzer, you try to find out which of the standard business processes will be impacted, you try to find out which of the custom codes would be impacted, and finally you come up with a proposal like what exactly are you going to perform in migrating to S4HANA. Not only that, there are some other checks, as I told you. From finance point of view, there are a lot of checks. Your existing data in ECC must be reconciled. Your period end activities must be closed. Okay, and very importantly, from logistics point of view, the customers and vendors that you have currently in your existing system, they need to be migrated into business partners, because once you are on SAP S4HANA, you cannot use the customers and vendors, you can only use the business partners. Okay, so that is something which we discussed yesterday in the first session on the conversion. Second phase is installation. Okay, installation, as the name suggests, it is mainly the technical phase in which once you complete your preparation phase, you carry out all your activities and you are sure, yes, we are ready to migrate to SAP S4HANA. You will hand over the system to your technical guys, which is consisting of HANA basis consultants. And what they will do, they will use the software called as Software Update Manager, which is again a tool which we discussed. And using Software Update Manager, SUM, they will convert the existing ECC system to S4HANA. Now this installation needs to be done in all 3 systems, right? So installation is not only that you will directly do on the production, this has to be one by one. So first you perform the installation on development system. Okay, you carry out all your configurations, because I'll talk about it. So next is delta configuration. So if you cannot directly do the delta configuration in production, as we follow in ECC also. If you want to perform the config, it has to be moved via development to quality and quality to production. So what you need to do is installation when you are doing, it has to be done first on the development system, and then you will continue to do the delta config, creating the TRs. Next, installation will be done on quality. You will be moving these TRs, whatever you created, to quality. You perform the testing and UAT. And once that is also fine, then you perform the installation finally to your production system, and you will be moving these TRs from quality to production. Again, even before this, even before you actually start installing delta configuration, it is recommended that before you carry out a main project, before you carry out a project in your current landscape, you do a dummy project. Dummy project in the sense it is like a test project that must be carried out in each and every customer's environment. Okay, I'll tell you why. So see, once you install SAP S4HANA on your development system, so there is a difference between your development system and quality, right? The tables are changed, everything is changed. So if you want some changes which are important in your production system, which is running on ECC, you cannot move that through TRs because your development system is completely changed, which means your landscape has been completely disturbed once you start this project. Okay, so you want to make sure that the amount of time which is required to convert all the three systems to SAP S4HANA is minimal. So let's say, for example, you installed the S4HANA system on your development system, and then you found out there are some challenges because of which you are waiting for 4 months and you are still not getting the answer from SAP, just for example. So this 4 months, it will disturb your normal business processes also, because normal landscape, like you cannot do the configuration in development and do into the transfer into the quality and production. Your existing landscape is disturbed. So this kind of issues should not come. This kind of issues should be resolved initially itself. So you carry out a test project in which you will create a separate, completely separate environment by taking the data from the production system. So you create a sandbox, copying the data from the production system, and you carry out all these activities like preparation, installation, delta config, your data migration, post migration, everything in the sandbox system. And if you are sure, yes, everything is working fine, then plan for the actual project. So this is something which we are also following in most of the projects. We don't directly start with the customer's existing landscape. We ask them, you provide us one standalone system by copying the existing production environment. We will first carry out a test project in which we will, most importantly, we will try to highlight what are the issues we are facing. Okay, and we will close all these issues here itself so that we already know the solution when we are actually performing this project in the existing environment, right? So this is just a suggestion which is mostly followed in each and every project. So you carry out a preparation in your current ECC. Installation must be done separately in development, quality, and production. And as I told you, even before development, quality, and production, it must be done in the sandbox system, which is a copy of production. You carry out a delta config in case of sandbox. You'll be directly doing the configuration there itself. There is no movement of TR because it is a standalone system. In case of your actual environment, you will be doing the configuration in development, moving it to quality, and then finally moving into production as you do normally. Once your delta config is completed, you will perform the data migration. We'll talk about what is data migration. And finally, there are some activities which are part of post migration. Okay, so I hope you got these 2 points, preparation and installation, because installation as a functional consultant, we don't have much to do. Preparation, we already discussed yesterday in detail. So preparation and installation is something which we covered. Now we need to discuss about these 3 things: delta config, data migration, and post migration activity. So if you remember, I shown you yesterday how are you going to carry out these 3 activities. They are available under the migration cockpit. So if you go to SPRO IMG, this migration to SAP S4HANA Finance is nothing but a migration cockpit which is provided by SAP to migrate your existing system to S4. See, your system is already migrated, right? When the installation took place, this all new things are already available into your system. But once the technical migration is completed, you cannot directly hand over the system to the users, because there are some programs that you need to execute as a part of delta config, as a part of data migration, as a part of post migration. Only when you complete all these activities, then only you will be handing over the system to your users, end users. Okay, so within this cockpit, this folder is talking about delta config, this is data migration, and this is post migration activities. Okay, we'll talk about this in detail, but let me tell you what do you mean by delta config. So you are using your ECC system, which is having, let's say, 10 company codes, 10 purchasing orgs, 10 sales orgs. Okay, and there is a releasing strategy in place. There are customer account groups in place. Material ledger is, let's say, already in place. You are using SD credit management. These are just examples. There can be a lot of configurations which you already done. And obviously, there are 100 plus custom objects. Okay, so this is, let's say, my current environment in which all this data is already available in my current system. And when I'm migrating, obviously, I don't want to start from scratch. I'm not going to configure all 10 company codes again. Okay, I want most of the information should be available automatically. Now, out of these things, I will just copy it here one by one. Company codes, 10 POs, 10 SOs, releasing strategy, account group, material ledger, SD credit management, and 100 plus custom objects. Now I performed the upgrade to S4HANA. Okay, this was what was available in SAP ECC. Now what needs to be done in all these objects? Again, as I told you, these are just the examples. There can be a lot of configurations. So in SAP S4HANA, all these things, whatever were available here, they must be available, right? Because we are not deleted anything. We just upgraded from ECC to SAP S4. So when ECC was there, all these things are available. In SAP S4HANA also, all these things are available. Okay, but the thing is whether they will work as it is, as they were working earlier. That is something we need to understand. So in SAP S4HANA, is there any change in the company codes? No change, right? Company codes are created as it is, as we were creating earlier. So if already my company codes are available in the old way, I don't need to perform any change, right? So no changes. So my companies are already in place. What about purchase organizations? Have I made any change in the purchase organizations in SAP S4HANA? No. Again, this will be no changes. Sales organization, no changes. Releasing strategy, no changes. Account groups, yes, there are some changes. Whatever account groups I have today, I need to create a business partner groupings. Okay, but this is already done because this is not something which you are supposed to do in SAP S4. Yesterday itself we discussed this. We already completed in the preparation activities, right? So this is already done. No need to perform anything in SAP S4HANA. Material ledger, if you're already using, yes, there is a change. So this is, if there is a change from SAP ECC to SAP S4, this is delta change, right? We need to take care of this. Credit management, yes, there is a change. So earlier we were using SD credit management, now it is not available. It is FSCM credit management. So this has to be taken care. 100 plus custom objects may not be for 100 plus, but subset of it, right? So we executed the custom code analyzer and we got a report that out of 100 custom objects, 90 will work as it is, for example, and 10 requires some changes. So subset, let's say, for example, 10 need to be adjusted. Okay, let me highlight some others, this one's also. So let's say output determination. Again, change required, which is delta. SD revenue recognition. Change, but this is a big change, right? This is implementation of RAR, which is a separate project altogether. Foreign trade. Definitely a change. Implementation of GTS, again a separate project. Now it depends upon customer whether they want to implement this RAR and GTS, let's say GTS, before they migrate to S4HANA, so that the effort is minimized. So they can implement GTS first and then they can migrate to S4HANA. It is all up to them how exactly they want to go. Okay, so these are some of the examples that I provided to you, which is telling you you don't need to change all the settings. You only need to change the settings wherever there is a change in the architecture. So there is a change in the architecture of material ledger. There is a change in the architecture of credit management. There is a change in the architecture of output determination. These are not the architectural level changes. These are the completely separate projects. So we can skip this. Okay. Now what we need to do in order to make our system live for the end user, we cannot directly hand over the system because there are some things which needs to be adjusted. Material ledger needs to be adjusted, credit management needs to be adjusted, output determination also needs to be adjusted. Okay, only when we adjust this, then only we can hand it over the system to the users. Okay, now if I show you this cockpit, it is not containing all that delta configuration. So for example, from logistics point of view, it only includes material ledger and SD credit management. Okay, so from from logistics point of view, material ledger and credit management, these are only two things which you will find in this cockpit. What about the other things? Like if I want to configure output determination, if it is not available here, how should I configure? In this common way, in the same way as we done in the new implementation. If it is not available here in the migration cockpit, you can always go to BRF plus OPD transaction to configure the output determination. Now, what is the reason why SAP has not provided this output determination also here? Because these are the automatic programs. Okay, so for example, the way in which we configured the credit management earlier, FSCM credit management I shown you from new implementation point of view, we created the credit segments, we created the credit control areas, we created the automatic credit checks. All of that we have done from scratch. Now, if you are already using ACC and if you already have credit control areas available, you already have, let's say, automatic credit checks available. So instead of creating them again in FSCM, SAP has provided a tool that will automatically copy the settings from SD to FSCM. So these are all automatic programs. You don't need to do this manually. You don't need to go to the particular activity, create a segment, create a credit control area. That is not required. That is the reason SAP has provided this cockpit, which will make your effort minimum. Okay, why it is not provided for output determination? Maybe in the future they can provide. Maybe they will copy automatically what is available in NACE and that can be automatically available in BRF plus. But as of now, it is not provided. So which means you need to go, if you want to use BRF plus, then you need to go to the normal BRF plus screen and OPD screen, and you will be configuring the new output determination same as we have done for the new implementation. Okay. Okay, let me now focus on these three areas. So as I told you, most of these activities are related to finance. Okay, why many activities are related to finance? Why, like, are there not many changes in logistics? There are more changes in finance? The answer is no. In logistics also we have seen there are a lot of changes. The changes in the architecture, the changes in the data model, the changes in the functionalities, the changes in the features. Similarly, the same changes are in FI also. So we are not saying FI is having more changes than logistics. But lot of logistics changes, when you perform the conversion, they will be automatically updated. I'll give you the example. Now, we are using ECC system. There were, let's say, thousands of records in MKPF and MSIG. Now, when you migrated to S4HANA, when you perform the installation, this phase, when your technical person has completed the installation, automatically all the data which was available in MKPF and MSIG, that will automatically become available in MATDOC. So half of your effort is done, right? From logistics point of view, you don't need to carry out any activity to move the data from old tables to new tables. But in finance, if you see, there are programs for that also. So in finance, they have provided the programs which will actually migrate the data from old tables to new tables, that too in the delta configuration. That is the reason there are many activities that from financial point of view, we need to execute a program to copy that data. But from logistics point of view, it is getting copied automatically. Now, does this mean finance cockpit is not updated then? Why it is not doing automatically? The reason is in finance, there are a lot of combinations. Okay, you know that when you talk about finance, there are different components: material ledger, COPA, asset accounting, general ledger accounting, due to which there are some configurations required before you ask the system to copy the data. That is the reason in the cockpit, most of the activities are related to finance, because you need to create your system according to your own requirements. Okay, but from logistics point of view, when we talk about materials management, it is MKPF and MSIG only, whatever we want to transfer into MATDOC. There are not any other components which are posting the data in MATDOC. Okay, that is the reason there are not much of activities available in this cockpit from logistics point of view. So I'll explain you this complete cockpit now. Let me come again to this. So when I open this migration to SAP S4HANA Finance, the first itself is a document. It is not an activity, it is just information. If I click on this, so it is saying if you are using financials as a part of following product version, so if you are already using SAP ERP or you are using Simple Finance, again in Simple Finance there are different versions. Like 1.0 was the first version, which came in 2014. Simple Finance 1503 came in 2015, and 1605 came in 2016. So if you're already using this and now you want to migrate to 1610, right? We are in the 1610 system. Then only you need to perform this activity. So before you start migrating your data, please see the conversion guide for SAP S4HANA. I think you already seen the conversion guide. I definitely hope that you are following the conversion guide also after yesterday's session. After today's session also, just go through the conversion guide. If you're not able to understand anything, let me know. Okay, so now it is talking about what are the different configurations that are required and all, but you can see this is mostly related to finance. So I can close this as of now. Now coming to these three activities, these three folders. So this is delta configuration, data migration, post migration. Let's go to delta configuration. Now in delta configuration, the first check itself is check customizing settings prior to migration. So before you start migration, just want to perform the consistency check that whether your system is ready from financials point of view to be migrated to S4. So as I told you, in the preparation activity, one of the important tasks is to make sure that your data is reconciled. Your FI data is reconciled with MM, your SD data is reconciled with FI, everything, like what from wherever the financial postings are happening, all of them must be reconciled. So this is a check which will check that whether your data is properly reconciled or not. If it is not reconciled, it will ask you to perform those reconciliation first and then come to this activity. Okay, that is the reason preparation phase has to be given a lot of importance. Wherever you think that something is not right, don't go to the next activity, because definitely system will stop you at some later point if you don't follow a particular sequence. Define message types for posting before and during migration. Now, let's say you are, let's say the timeline is you decided that you are going to implement SAP S4HANA at the end of this month. So 31st of August, you are going to perform the installation. And after the installation, there will be 2 days of downtime where you are going to perform these activities. So 1st and 2nd of September, you are going to perform these activities. Now, let's say on 1st, some accounting user logged in into the system and he's trying to post some accounting document. Do you think whether the system should allow him to do this? Or maybe even if system is like giving some error, but that error is not something which is self-explanatory. Okay, he's getting the some error, SE doc is not working or something, so he'll not get the idea what exactly is happening in the background, right? So what we want that during this time when the conversion process is going on, if any users tries to log into the system and try to perform any transactions, normally we log these users. Okay, so this actually this issue should not come at all. But again, if you're not logged your users and your user is trying to do some transaction, what error message that he should get, that you can specify here. So this is the message type. If I click on new entry, again this is financial. I'm just explaining you how exactly this is controlled. So this is a message 150. Data migration is not yet finished. Updating of document is not possible. So you'll get information. Okay, this is the reason why I'm not able to post anything. So once my migration will be completed, then only users will be able to perform the transactions. Okay, so these are the activities related to finance. Similarly, you can see this is general ledger accounting, asset accounting, controlling. Okay, in general ledger accounting, again, you'll find a lot of things which are related to finance. In asset accounting also, there are some changes. Finally, in the controlling also, there are changes in the way how the COPA works, okay, which is not something which you should be worried about. What you are worried about is material ledger and credit management. Now, let's take a simple example. You are consultant and you want to complete your task. Okay, you know, I'm not bothered about general ledger accounting, asset accounting, controlling. As soon as the system is available, I should directly go to material ledger and perform the configuration, whatever is required from my side. If you do that, that is either give you error or it is not going to work. The reason is this material ledger settings are totally based on these settings, general ledger, asset accounting, controlling. So if you directly go here to complete your task as a consultant, that is not going to work, which means the entire responsibility of this cockpit must be taken by one single person. Okay, it should not be, okay, you complete your task, you will complete SD task, you'll complete FI task. That should not be the case. Maybe even if you are involving multiple users, that is also fine, but the responsibility should be with one, because this has to be followed in a sequence. Each and everything has to be followed in this cockpit in a sequence. Let's say, for example, if you are performing this activity, check and adopt fiscal year end, Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, sorry, there was disconnection. Yeah, I was talking about that all these activities has to be performed in a particular sequence. Okay, this is a sequence. If you get an error here and you try to go to the next step, definitely this is not going to work because all these things are dependent on each other. Why I'm telling you this? Because although as a MM consultant, I'm not worried about what settings you maintained in general ledger accounting, what settings you maintained in asset accounting or controlling, but I cannot directly go to material ledger and execute my activity. I have to be, I need to wait till the time all these activities are not completed. Once they are completed, I can come here in material ledger and you can see this is very simple. Okay, you are not doing all that things what we done in the new implementation. You are not going into OMSL, sorry, what was that? Which transaction? OMS1 or something. Okay, forget about the transaction. Where you activated a material ledger and then CKM start to make it productive. All those things are not required. If you remember, when we activated material ledger in a new implementation project, so we were going to SPRO, within this controlling, product cost controlling, material ledger, and here activate material ledgers for valuation types, OMX1, right? So this is not required. You don't need to go to OMX1. You don't need to go to, once after you complete this other activity was CKM start, if you remember. So all these things are not required. And that is the same thing which I'm trying to say here is SAP has provided the automatic programs which will do all these things for you automatically in case of conversion. In case of new implementation, you have to do it because system doesn't knows what you want to use. In case of conversion, system knows because you are already using ECC system and there are many settings in ECC according to which the system will know that whether you are really requiring the material ledger functionality or you are just doing it for the technical purpose, right? So this migrate material ledger customizing, what this will do if you read this. So the material ledger is required if you are using SAP S4HANA materials management, right? It is mandatory. You need to migrate to material ledger even if you're already using SAP S4HANA Finance. So let's say if you're already using SAP Simple Finance and now you want to migrate to 1610. Then also, because in S4HANA Finance, material ledger was not mandatory, you need to activate it now. And you also need to migrate to material ledger even if you're already using material ledger in your source system. So let's say in ECC, you were already using material ledger. Then also, you need to execute this program. So in short, irrespective from where you are coming from, you are coming from the system, ECC system, which is using material ledger or not, or you are coming from simple finance system, which is using material ledger or not, you have to execute this activity, which will automatically, if material ledger is active, fine. If not active, this will activate the material ledgers for all the plants technically. Okay, so what this will do, the activity migrates the customizing settings for the material ledger. And as I told you, the requirements are perform this activity after. Okay, you cannot perform this activity at any point of time. This will be performed only after these activities are done. So you completed the settings prior to migration, you defined the message, you done the customizings for general ledger accounting, asset accounting, controlling, and then only you come here. And how are you going to do this? Execute as test run. If any error message are showing, contact SAP support in the sense, if you're not getting the proper message, normally you will get a message there itself, what is wrong, you will rectify it and it will be solved. But at any point of time, if you think, oh, I'm not getting the solution from anywhere, then you can contact SAP. Okay, correct the errors before continuing, and finally execute in the update mode. So let me show you this. So when I execute this, see, it is not showing me any option. So now if you say, if I'm using 50 plants and I only want to activate material ledger for 10 plants. Is it possible? Do you think is it possible? Not possible. In SAP S4HANA, when you execute this program, it will automatically update to all the plants. Even another more important thing, as I have shown you here, in Notepad, I told you there are 10 company codes. There are 10 purchasing organization, 10 sales organization. If my customer is saying, okay, I want to migrate to SAP S4HANA, but only with 5 company codes, is it possible? What do you think? Is it possible? Any answers? Not possible, right? Why not possible? Because you are performing the migration. Once you perform the migration, your architecture has been completely changed. The tables itself are changed. So how can you use the settings in the old way? You cannot. It is not based on the company codes and the purchase organizations. It is totally based on the client level. So whatever is available in that client, that will be converted into the new settings, right? So if you execute this program, this will automatically go in this configuration and it will activate material ledger for each and every plant. Even CKM start is also not required. It will automatically run the productive run. Now, based on how much company or how many plants you have, this activity definitely this will not take much time because this is just a configuration. The next activity, which is data migration, will take more time if the data is more in material ledger. Okay, so one single program which will automatically activate material ledger for all your plants. Very simple. Again, this activity will be performed by your finance person because it is related to house banks. And the last activity is credit management. Now in credit management, I can see a lot of things. Okay, are all these things required? The answer is, if you remember, I told you SD credit management and FSCM credit management. SD credit management provides you the features which we normally use, but FSCM has more features if required. Okay, so if you are already using SD credit management and now because it is mandatory for you to migrate to FSCM, if you use this first program, migrate credit management customizing, whatever configurations are available in SD credit management, automatically all these configurations will be available in FSCM credit management. On top of that, if you want to use advanced features, of FSCM credit management, then only these things are required. Okay, otherwise you can completely skip this. If your target is just to make sure that whatever was available in my SD credit management, I want to use all those features in FSCM credit management, the single program is enough. Whatever the credit control areas, the risk categories, the automatic credit checks, everything will be copied automatically in FSCM. And if this is required, as I told you in the new implementation also, then this is not a small thing. FSCM credit management activation and all that, credit rating agencies and all this, if you want, you need to involve your FSCM consultant. Normally, we only run this most of the projects, but if it is required, then you can involve your FSCM consultant to do this. So let me show you this document. What this is going to do, this is going to create the credit segments. This is going to create the risk categories, I think, yes, risk classes and risk categories. And it is also going to create the automatic credit control, whatever is made in OVA 8. So in this activity, you migrate to new configuration of credit management. When you execute this activity, system also checks whether a migration of credit management setting is necessary. When it is not necessary, it is not necessary when you are already using FSCM in your current system, in ECC system. In that case, it is not necessary because already you have the configurations available in FSCM. It is necessary if you are using SD credit management and you want to migrate to S4. Okay, so as you can see, from logistics point of view, you need to run only two programs. One for migrating the credit management customizing, and second for migrating the material ledger customizing, nothing else. Other delta config, as I told you, if you think, okay, I want to use PRF plus, because it is not available in the cockpit, this means it is needed to be done in exactly same way as we are done in the new implementation. Okay, so you go to PRF plus, you go to OPD and perform the configuration. Maybe in future, if SAP provides another program here, which will automatically copy the data from NACE and update the OPD, then maybe you will be getting the programs here. Okay, but as of now, these are the only two programs which are relevant from logistics point of view. Any questions in the third phase that we discussed, delta configuration, before I go to data migration and post migration?
Gaurav, this is Suresh here. See, assume that the customer is having finance and now they're going with HANA. So what will happen for these cockpits? Can he directly go to material ledger and activate and go for the ST credit management or other things?
Sorry, can you come back again one?
Assume that the customer now is in finance, simple finance. And
simple
then,
finance already.
Yeah, and now he goes for HANA. So what happens is
just one thing. Sorry. So when customer is using simple finance, okay, this is something which I want to make sure that you use it correctly, because we are towards the end and I am still hearing this HANA and confusion between HANA and SAP S4HANA. Okay, what I'm saying is, you said customer is already using simple finance. This means if he is already using simple finance, he is already on HANA. Now maybe you are trying to say customer is going to SAP S4HANA. Am I right?
Yes, Gaurav.
Yeah, please proceed. So customer is using simple finance. Now they are trying to move to SAP S4HANA.
Yeah.
Then what is it?
Where you have the logistics. So what happens to the cockpit now? See, he has to do all this activity, or he can directly go with the material ledger.
No. This activities, see, irrespective of where you are coming, that is the reason this we discussed about material ledger and all these activities, whatever we are talking about, they must be done in whenever you are moving to SAP S4HANA. Now I'll give the example. So let's say you are already using simple finance. In that case, if you go here, you will see this define message types. This is definitely required. You go to general ledger configuration. So it may happen that most of these things, because they were available in simple finance, they are already in place, right?
Yeah,
but
yes.
definitely, let's say you go here and you will see, okay, this is fine. You'll go here, this is fine, this is fine. So you complete all the tasks and then you can directly come into material ledger and perform, because that is something which was not available in simple finance. So if you are trying to ask that I can skip the financial activities and I can directly go to material ledger, yes, that is fine.
Yeah, that is my question. So
yes, that is fine, because you are already using. Sorry.
Yeah, that is my question. So it means that we can skip everything and we can go to the material ledger.
Material.
Yeah, that was my question. Okay, and my second question is, because earlier you have been talking about the dummy project. So when we go with ECC and HANA, so earlier you have been talking about, okay, we'll let us have a sandbox where it is going to be independent one, where you're going to refresh from the production the data, so you're going to do that. Right. And subsequently, we are going to have the HANA in the sandbox. See, what happens with the development, the quality, and the production? Because what happens is already the customer is going to be in the ECC, and assume that, so in development, assume that you're going to go with the HANA, and it's going to take a particular time for them to complete the project. See, assume that it takes 1 year for them. See, what happens is, generally what happens is, if there is going to be any issue with the ECC, see what generally the customer, you do the development there, and whatever you checked after the development, you try to move the TR, the quality, and you check that, and then you send it to the production. You transfer, you push it to the production. So there is a time that would be a time for doing this project, because how can we go on with the development or the quality with the HANA without a backup? So it means that you need a separate system, separate landscape for the HANA totally. Is my understanding right? Then how do you develop if there is a specific issue with the production? You have to necessarily definitely go with the development and the quality. So
Yes.
you don't have that then, because once if you're going to go on with the HANA, so you have that definitely in production, there is no issue. But the other two, how do you handle that during the time of the project?
Yes, so that is a very big business decision, whether they see, as you said, let's say I already upgraded my development system to SAP S4, and in my quality and production system, I'm continuing to use my daily business transactions in the normal ECC system, right? Now, I want some new things to be available in my production. Normally what I do it in the development, and then I move to quality, and then finally to production. Now my development is already upgraded with SAP S4, which means it is not matching with my quality and production environment. So this is definitely a business decision. They need to take a call, like how much time they can provide the development system to take out of the normal. Definitely this is not something which you will deploy the separate landscape, because I'll tell you, we are performing the conversion here. We are not performing the migration from one system to another system. This is the same system that we are going to convert, right? So you definitely don't have the parallel landscapes here. It is only the business decision whether they are okay that whatever new changes will come now, they will be directly done in the quality and moved to production. So you need to change your what is that landscape. You need to change your transport mechanism, but you cannot create two separate systems, one for S4HANA and second for ECC, because that is completely against the conversion. Conversion means what? You are upgrading your current system, right?
Yeah, it is true. But again, see, I assume that even when you move it to the quality, the testing is going to be enormous. And again, it's definitely going to take time, because there would be only one particular system which is going to be in ECC. Because even in the quality, even when you move with the development, the testing, whatever the testing which you're going to do, it is going to be your SIT and the UAT, it's going to be really large, because you have to do that. And at that time, there is going to be issues in the production. It's not going to be just like that, and you're going to have a production issues in the production. And my question is, how is this? Because these two systems, it is not only the development which is going to affect. Even when you're going to move it to the quality, the testing would be enormous. And so what happens is you need an HANA there in the quality. Then the issue is going to be there. This is going to be, even though the business would not take a decision, just whatever the issues which happens in production, they would not take a decision. There should be a way for doing that. And that is the question which I'm just putting forth, so that I could get the answer for that.
Now see, again, I can share you one example, like one of the customer, what they done. But again, that is something which is, it depends again, whether it should be recommended to the customer or not. Let's say you have a development environment, then you have quality, and then you have production. Now, as you said, that my development is upgraded with SAP S4HANA, and I'm performing all these configurations, installation and all. So I cannot use this development system in my normal existing ECC environment, right? Because if I want to make some changes here, they need to come from development, which is not available, right? So one of the customer, what they done is they given us this D system, okay, and they completely taken it out from their landscape, okay, and what they have done is
I'm sorry, I didn't follow the last line.
Yes, I'm coming to it. See, what they've done is they this development system, they created another copy of development system, which is called as development clone. Okay. Now this clone system was integrated with this normal quality and production. Okay. And the testing from SAP S4HANA point of view, this was continuing in this D system. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So it means that they have a clone system for both. Then you have a development and then and a quality clone system, so that it happens because you have a different maybe the environment here, so that yes, will work.
Yes, different environments, but definitely one thing you need to understand: this is not my this is my upgraded system, but the data is not transferred manually. It is just a copy of this, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I got that.
So that is the thing which I'm trying to say. So it is not like I'm creating two different systems. This is the copy of this system, and this is only for the temporary purpose.
Right, because even when it is a copy, it becomes an environment, right? Or
yes.
Maybe
let me
environment, right? You have the two environment again. Is my understanding right, Gaurav?
No, maybe let me tell you this complete picture. Although this is not, I don't know whether this is the what you can say. This we can recommend to the customer, because it will unnecessarily include more and more system, and it will create a confusion. Instead of that, if you clearly tell the customer that okay, we checked everything in sandbox, and you need to give us 2 months of time where you are not doing any new thing in the production system. If you have some kind of error that you directly need to do in the production, they are normally agreeing to that. So, but for the big customers, definitely they will not agree. For them, you need to provide this solution. See, it is like this is your normal environment. Okay, now you want this development system to be upgraded to S4HANA. Okay, so what about this environment? So you will create another environment called as development clone. Okay, this will be the copy of this D system. Okay, and you will integrate with your normal landscape. So quality and production. Okay, and now this is not at all available. Okay, this is gone. And here the separate system without any TR movements is available is D S4. Am I right?
Yeah.
Third thing. Now this has been tested, and we are ready to move our quality also into this. So D clone, quality clone, because actual quality system we want to convert it to S4.
Yeah.
P. And this will be separate, not separate. This will be D to S going to Q to S.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Okay. So yeah, I got it, because we need two clone systems for that, right?
Yes, yes.
Only activity.
Now, yes. Now for production, you don't need any clone, because you are already done with this. So at one fine day, what you will do, you will copy this, and you will take you will apply the S4HANA patches on P system, which will automatically convert it to S. And this, whatever you created, as I told you, this were temporary. So finally, you are here. Development S4, quality S4, and production S4. But this is very complicated. Huh? Even in our project that we worked, everybody was confused what is going on. But this is this is something which a technical team has to understand, how our transport mechanism will work, and this and that. There is a lot of technicality involved in this.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. This would be the only solution if they are not going to, because definitely I don't know, because many of the customers which I handle, because this would be a specific challenge, because without a quality a backup for the production, they would not generally prefer. That is what it's my opinion. I don't know, because I have not gone with the S4HANA discussion on this. Thanks, Gaurav. Thanks for the input.
Okay. Okay, so this is also about the data configuration. Now let's move to data migration. Again, before I talk about data migration, let me provide you the clarity. I'll send you this document, which may be useful to you, this notepad. So when we say data migration now, again, like we seen when we say data configuration, does it all the configuration or it is only the partial configuration? So data migration also, which data migration? Normally, when we talk about data migration, it is like customer master. Okay, I'm just writing the example, same as what we done in data configuration. Supplier master, let's say the transactions which are available in MKPF and MSEG transactions, sales transactions, credit management transactions, and finally, let's say material ledger transactions. There are many more. I'm just providing the example. Okay, same way, let me take all this one by one and talk about S4. So customer master, supplier master, MKPF transactions, sales transactions, credit management, and material ledger transactions. Yes. Now you tell me, at this stage, do I need to perform the customer master migration? We are at, where are we exactly? We are at data migration stage. We already completed data configuration. Any answer? At this stage, do we need to perform any kind of customer master migration? No, not required, right? Why? Because we already done this. We already migrated our customers to business partners, and they are available in the new system automatically because no change. Whatever we created, the customers were created as business partner in ECC. When we migrated to S4, they are already available. Again, supplier masters not required. Okay. MKPF MSEG transactions, whatever are available in MKPF and MSEG transactions, do you think the migration is required? Definitely, yes. Migration is required from what? Migration is required from old tables to new tables. So migration required from old tables to new tables. But as I told you, this migration will automatically perform during the installation. So whatever data was available in MKPF and MSEG in ECC system, when you use this installation, automatically all the data from MKPF and MSEG has been migrated to MAT-DOC. What about sales transactions? Same thing. You don't need to perform anything. Okay, maybe sales transactions, not much of changes, first of all, because your sales order table, sales order table, delivery table, all tables are same. Only one or two changes like VBUK data migrated to VBAK, right? LIKP and VBRK. Right, we discussed this. VBUK is no more available, so data will be migrated to these tables. Again, when exactly this will be done? Are we going to perform any activity to migrate this data? No. Again, this was done during the installation itself. So no need to do anything as of now at this moment. Credit management transactions. So when we credit management, we were using SD credit management. Now in SAP S4HANA, only FSCM credit management is available. When the installation took place, was my configuration available for credit management? When I performed the installation, my credit management configuration was not available. That I done in the Delta config only here, right? I performed the Delta configuration for credit management. Then how can I expect the system to perform the data migration from old tables to new tables during the installation? Definitely not. At the time of installation, data migration of credit management was not at all performed. Okay, so when exactly that will be performed? That will be performed here in the data migration stage. Okay, so yes, changes are required. Migration will be performed during data migration phase. Now, which data? Credit management, what kind of data you have in credit management? You have credit master data, whatever you are maintaining in FD32, credit master. You have exposure data, like how out of available credit limit, how much is already utilized. And you have some open documents which are pending for approvals, which are pending the release for credit blocked orders. So you want credit blocked orders also, or credit decisions, we can say credit decisions. Okay, so these are the three kind of data that you need to perform the migration. So whatever data was available in FD32, that we want to convert to BP. Whatever exposure was available, like how much was already used, that we need to update into FSCM tables. And credit decisions also, whatever sales orders are in open stage, we need to perform the data migration for credit decisions. Finally, for ML, again, same thing, because Delta configuration was not available, so we cannot expect system to automatically perform the data migration. But for ML transactions, data migration definitely required. But no separate activity needs to be done. As this will take place automatically with FI data. So when FI will be copied, this will be automatically taken care. Okay, so these are the two things which I want to show you, how you can do this credit management, data migration, and material ledger migration using the cockpit. Let me go here now. All other things, as I told you, because the data is available in the same system, migration may not be required at all. So we are in the data migration. Again, as you can see, there are a lot of data which are actually related to finance. Transactional data, again, all this is finance. Data migration, general ledger allocation, house bank. So when you perform this financial data migration, automatically your material ledger data is also available in the new architecture. So there is no need, as I told you, but no separate activity needs to be done, as this will be take place automatically with FI data. Now the question is, why with FI data? What FI has to do with ML? If you remember, I told you, with simple finance, material ledger tables are merged into AC.A. So when AC.A is getting the data, it is not only getting the data from general ledger accounting, it is getting the data from general ledger accounting, controlling, COPA, material ledger, and asset accounting. Okay, so that is the reason there is no separate need of executing any transaction for migrating the material ledger balances. Only that activity is required here for credit management. Okay, again, if I talk about credit management, what we need to do, we need to migrate the customer master, we need to migrate the exposure, and we need to migrate the credit decisions. These are the three things we need. So here you can see migrate credit management master data, migrate credit management exposure, and migrate credit management decisions, and finally reconcile whether everything is migrated properly or not. What are these then? Display, display, display. These are the logs. So you execute this, go to here for log. You execute this, go here for log. Execute this, finally you come here for log. And finally you perform the reconciliation. So in short, when you run this, what will happen? Whatever data is available in FD32, that will get migrated to UKM_BP. When you execute this, let's say total credit limit available was 100 USD. Out of 100 USD, 50 USD is already consumed. So this will copy that data that, okay, out of 150 USD is already consumed. That is the exposure. And finally, the credit decisions, which means whatever sales orders were pending the approvals or releases, this will take care of that. Okay, so if you just go through this, you can see whatever data was available in transaction FD32, it will be moved to UKM_BP. This is the new transaction. So in SAP S4HANA, master data for credit management is migrated to FSCM. Master data migration is done per customer and credit control area. You assign the credit limits, credit groups, representative groups, and all these things. So yeah, the business partner role UKM000 is created, as we discussed that in FSCM credit management. In order to create a credit master data of the customer, you need to create it under UKM000. This is not relevant, as I told you. If you are using the what we can say advanced functionality of FSCM, which is credit analyst groups and all, then only this will be required. Otherwise, for us, every customer which is available in FD32, a corresponding role UKM000 will be created in transaction UKM_BP. Exposure data, whatever limit is available. So credit values of open orders, deliveries are migrated to credit exposure. Okay, and in UKM_BP you can actually see. If you remember, if I take you to UKM_BP, it not only tells you what is the available limit, but it also tells you how much exposure is already consumed. Let me open any customer. Credit segment data. See, total limit was 10,000 INR, out of which this much is already used. So this is the exposure. We want this information to appear here. That is the reason we are updating this transaction, running this program. Finally, if there are some credit blocked orders, they will be initialized from this transaction. Sales and delivery documents blocked by credit management are managed with credit decisions. Okay, so whatever blocked orders are there, they will be migrated using this cockpit. So again, you need to perform this activity in a sequence. You should not directly come to credit management or any other activity. You need to perform all these things in a particular sequence. So from logistics point of view, the data that needs to be migrated is only material ledger data and credit management data. Rest of the data automatically system is taking care. Whenever you perform the installation, all the table level, architectural level changes, they will be automatically taken care. Okay, and finally, if I go to activities after migration, that is post-migration activities, again, as you can see, not much activities from your logistics point of view. Most of the activities are like filling the due dates, filling the offsetting accounts. Okay, only this one, manual activity for credit management, I'll talk about this. But let me talk first about this, transfer application indexes. This is not the related to logistics, but this is a common terminology. What are the application indexes? So if you remember, we talked about different views. So tables will be deleted and views will be created, right? We discussed about this. So there will be different tables, like for example, which tables are deleting in our case, VAKPA we discussed. This was an index table. So this table was available in ECC, and in S4HANA, this table will be deleted and a corresponding view will be created. Now, when exactly this table will be deleted? This will be deleted at the time of installation. Now, let's say, for example, during the installation, or let's say after the completion of migration, everything is done. Now I found some problem. In VAKPA view, I'm not getting all the records that were available in table VAKPA. How will I cross verify? How will I know that what was available in VAKPA? It is already gone, right? Table is already gone. So what SAP does is, when the installation takes place, first SAP creates the backup tables. So backup tables are created for which are to be removed. So whatever tables are planned to be removed, the backup tables will be created. Obviously, data will be moved from main tables to backup tables, and then actual tables are deleted. So for example, now finally tables are deleted and views are created. Now let's take an example of VAKPA. Total, let's say total size of this table was 100 GB. Okay, so total size of this VAKPA was 100 GB. When backup table was created, let's say for example, VAKPA underscore BK. Let's say this is the backup table. So when data is transferred, 100 GB has been transferred here, and then this table is removed, VAKPA. Then what is the point? We are removing this table and we are creating another backup table for 100 GB. Then what is the point? We are again consuming same memory. So this was only for the temporary purpose, right? Just to make sure that if something goes wrong during the conversion, we have the backup table. Now, once the conversion is completed, what is the purpose of this table? This table should be removed, right? So one option is you can ask your technical guys to remove these tables, but what SAP suggests is, instead of removing, you move this table from hot area to cold area. Do you remember what is hot area and cold area? Do you remember what was data aging? Have we discussed this earlier? Data aging? Moving the data from HANA to, or sorry, moving the data out from RAM to secondary storage. Have we discussed that any time? Yes, I was expecting this. We actually discussed, but if you are not remember, let me tell you. See, what we were doing in ECC, the current data means the data which we use on day-to-day basis, that we were keeping in the system, and the outdated data which we think is no more required in the system, it is unnecessarily impacting the performance, we archive that data, right? We archive means we send this data out of our existing system. In S4HANA, instead of archiving, because archiving is out of the system, so if you want to perform the report on the archive data, you need to re-archive that data back into the system, and then only you can perform the report. But in SAP S4, there is something called as data aging. Data aging means, instead of moving the data completely out of the system, you move the data from RAM to hard disk. Because as we discussed, SAP HANA stores the data in RAM. Does it mean that all the data which is available in SAP is stored in RAM? Answer is no. SAP HANA has a capability to store the data in RAM in addition to storing the data in hard disk. So you can choose which data should be available in hard disk and which data should be available in RAM. So regular data that you need on day-to-day basis, definitely that has to be available on RAM. But the outdated data which you are just keeping it because it is required from the legal point of view, or maybe you may require it from some reporting point of view anytime during the year or something like that. So in that case, you can move that data from RAM to hard disk so that your RAM performance should not be impacted. So that is called as data aging. So now these tables, backup tables that we are talking about, by default they are available on RAM. What is the point? Why should we keep that data in RAM? We should move that data into the hard disk. That is exactly what this program is doing. This program will move whatever backup tables were created during the conversion. This will move that database tables, backup tables from hot area to cold area. As I told you, what is hot area? Hot area means main memory. To reduce the main memory consumption, data is moved from to the database cold area. From hot area, it is moved to the cold area. Okay. And if you want to use this data aging functionality, which is a technical thing, you don't need to worry. But this is a business function which is related to data aging. By default, this is on. Okay. So this is about data aging and how you can transfer the application indexes. Finally, this is something new which was added only in 1610. So let's say you use this credit management migration and there are one or two customers which are not migrated because of some error. Let's say the mandatory field is not maintained or something like that. So instead of running this entire cockpit once again, because here you are not, if I execute this, it is not allowing me to specify which customer I want to migrate. Okay, it is migrating all the customers at once. So if I have thousands of customers, I can use this. But if I know only one customer I need to migrate, then I can use this instead of using this. Manual activities for credit management, complete credit management migration for unmigrated customers. So you can specify the range of customers here and you can specify which activity you want to perform. Whether you want to perform the master data migration or you want to perform the exposure migration or you want to perform the credit decision migration. That is the only thing. So normally we don't use this. It goes well with this particular thing itself, because in 1511 this was even not available. Okay, so this was about data migration and post-migration activities. Any questions?
Sandeep here, Guru.
Yes, Sandeep.
When we are doing the data migration, if any data which has been not really useful, like there are the pricing records or something like that which is already expired, the validity of those pricing records or any other records as such, do we have a check to not to migrate to the new system? Because again, if we are doing all the data migration, then any cleansing the task that can be taken care, do we have any option to cleanse the data? Otherwise, again, the new system will also be sending the junk, right?
Exactly, that is the same thing I told you about the preparation. So in the preparation activity, if you remember, I told you there are a lot of preparation activities that you need to do in ECC. Okay, so in the preparation, if that is a requirement, you need to do it in the preparation itself, because when you migrate, when you start installing, whatever data is available, it may be junk, it may be whatever it is, it will be migrated as it is to the new system. If you want to avoid that, you can remove that data from the ECC itself. So just for example, you are using let's say different customers, and there are a lot of junk customers, like one customer is created multiple times, which is creating confusion. So instead of that, that cleansing activity should be performed in ECC itself. So whatever data is cleaned in ECC, that only needs to be migrated in S4. From logistics point of view, there are not much of projects, but I can give you the example of finance. So chart of account cleansing, okay, even you have group chart of account. So these are some of the common terms that they are using when they are migrating to S4. So in the preparation activities, they want that all this cleansing activity from financial point of view, they want to continue complete first, and then they want to migrate to S4. But yes, whatever cleansing activities are required, they need to be done in the preparation itself, in your ECC itself. Right, Sandeep, this is something you are asking?
Yes, Gaurav, yeah. But
Okay.
even in that case, then the volume of the success rate would be a huge and humongous, I think, because
Yes, definitely. Whatever. Yes. If you want to reduce the volume, again, let me tell you one example. So let's say a company is using SAP from last 10 years and they have 10 years of data. Now, again, the question can be to them whether you want to migrate all this 10 years of data. If they say no, maybe we can migrate only 2 or 3 years of data. So it has nothing to do with S4. You in ECC, you archive the remaining data, and whatever data will be available in ECC, that will be migrated to S4. So that decision is a completely separate project that you need to take before you actually start the conversion project.
But from technical standpoint, that can be, what all the data has to be transferred to the new system. Is it the functional team has to be doing that? But I would think like it would be technical guys would be controlling what data has to be migrated to the after the the cleaning activity, right?
No, Sandeep. What data? See, what data means? Let me tell you. Whatever data is available in ECC, it will be migrated to S4. You cannot control. You cannot say I want to move this from ECC. I want to move only the data which is available from this. That is not possible. If you want to control, you first make sure that ECC itself is having the data which is really required. So you need to remove the data from ECC itself, and then only you migrate to S4. You cannot control that ECC if it is having 10 different, let's say 10 GB of data, out of that only 5 GB of data I want to move. That is not possible.
Okay.
So let's say in ECC you have 1,000 customers and you want to only migrate 500 customers. That is not possible. If you want only 500 customers to be migrated, first remove that 500 customers which are not needed to be migrated from ECC. So when ECC is updated, when ECC is having only 500, then you perform the migration. Then in S4HANA you will find only 500. But you cannot say in ECC I have 1,000 and while migrating I want a technical consultant who can only migrate 500. That is not possible. So in short, whatever is available in ECC, you cannot do the subset. If you want to perform some cleansing and all, you perform in ECC itself, make your ECC system what you want to see in S4, and then only perform the migration.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, any other questions before we stop today?
Gaurav, the one
So
which
I think, yeah, sorry, Sandeep, go ahead.
Yeah, the one which your notepad you are sharing, right? Is those are being shared on the drive, or it is given? Because yesterday also we have on one notepad.
I think it will be shared by Drive itself, because I'm going to share this with Krishna and Sana, so they'll be whatever method they are following. I think they are following the Drive, right? Right, Sandeep?
Sure, Gaurav.
Okay. Just one confirmation. I'm not sure whether we, I think Activate we completed or not, because I think when we were planning for Activate, we actually talked about the practical session, starting with practical because it was too much of theory. So if that is pending, in the next session, we definitely need to talk about Activate. And also task for you now, we almost completed
everything from S4H01, which is the introduction to HANA and S4HANA. We talked about PR1, procurement changes. We talked about SD1, sales and distribution changes. And last week, we talked about manufacturing, like MRP Live and all that, which comes under the MA1. So go through all these documents, okay? And if you think that some of the points we may need to talk about, so I'll recommend that if you can send me the mail that whatever you want me to discuss in the next session, which you think that, okay, this is available in this document, but we not discussed or something like that, you send me that mail. I'll definitely incorporate that in our class. And according to me, activate methodology and some small topics like rebate processing and I remember PPDS, we'll be just having that overview because PPDS, as you know, it was actually available in APO. Now they are bringing into MA1. So PPDS, rebate processing, these are the only two things which are coming into my mind, which are remaining. So activate, PPDS and rebate. This is something which I remember. If you think there is something else which needs to be discussed, send me the mail and we'll definitely incorporate that in our next class.
Gaurav, Sandeep, a quick question, Gaurav.
Yes.
For the credit management, if, because a couple of few of the clients, they might not using FSCM, right? So they have a standard which is generic credit management functionality. So when this migration happens, they have to go with FSCM, or still they could be able to function it with generic credit management. I might missed.
Sorry. Are you talking about the normal SD credit management?
Yes, Gaurav.
Normal SD credit management is not available, Sandeep. It is only FSCM credit management in S4.
Okay.
I hope this is your question, right? So FSCM credit management is the only solution available in SAP S4HANA. And whatever you were using in SD, when you run this cockpit, what I talked about, this credit management, the configuration also, Delta configuration, that will automatically copy whatever configurations are available in your SD credit management to FSCM credit management.
Okay, but do we need to know more, because FSCM credit management?
No. Whatever I taught you, I already we already had a session on FSCM credit management, right? From the new implementation point of view. That is enough.
Okay.
Because FSCM is a very big module, you cannot drill down into everything. But from your point of view, credit management is something that you were taking care in ECC. So you may not require any FSCM to do that because you already know that features. But otherwise, if FSCM complete module needs to be implemented and all that things, then you are definitely not the right person. It will be FSCM consultant.
So they should be having an FSCM architect also for S4HANA if they go for the implementation.
Sorry, can you come back?
So before to that, even because though we have a vanilla flavor of FSCM is already there on the S4HANA, so the other existing functionalities from the finance standpoint, that if the client does not have any FSCM before, then they should also go. They should also implement the FSCM first, and then this credit management related will be add-on to the.
No. They don't need to. No. They don't need to implement any FSCM separately. Whatever you are implementing from a credit management point of view, that is the only thing that you'll be using. It is not something like you need to. FSCM is already available within the core system. You don't need to implement it separately. You are only doing your credit management configurations. What we did, same thing, nothing else. You don't need to involve your FSCM consultant if you are only looking for the credit management point of view.
Okay.
Okay, Sandeep?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, then, so we'll close today and we'll meet in the next class with SAP Activate methodology.
Yeah, Gaurav,
Yes.
I just stopped. Yeah, I just stopped an email to you because I'm not able to edit in my Fiori app. Maybe that would be a setting which I'm not able to get that. If you can just look into this, I have sent you a screenshot.
Can
I don't
you?
have an edit.
No, maybe.
I'm sorry.
Maybe can you tell me the exact issue? I'll try to solve here itself.
Yeah, you go to Fiori app because I'm not able to edit my groupings actually. And I have just sent you a screenshot because the button doesn't show up actually. I don't know the reason why. When you go with when you try to group the
Okay, let me
group,
see your voice.
you can just see my email.
Yeah, just
the screenshot which I have sent you.
okay. Let me just open. If I can solve it here itself, it will be good.
There should be some setting which I'm not able to get that setting.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah. So are you not getting the edit homepage button, right? That is the problem.
I'm not
Okay.
getting
Let me. Okay. Can you tell me the maybe you can type on the chat screen your user ID and password, what you are using?
Yeah, sure. You want me to log off? Okay, I'm there. I think I just.
Let's see if it is not allowing or not.
I think no, I have logged off. Right? Yeah. Remove this.
I think this is the access issue. So authorization issue.
Yeah, right. Okay. Maybe just maybe can you
No,
just
no, no.
talk
It is
Krishna?
there now.
I'm sorry.
It is just taking some time. It is available now. See, edit homepage.
Oh, is it right? Okay. Let me just go into that. Hey, if things are okay, I'll just log in after some time.
Yes. It is slow. Nothing else.
Okay. Thanks, Gaurav.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Yeah. Bye. Thank you. We'll meet next week.